Okay, today I'm joined by Chris Wiggin, who is Lib Dem parliamentary candidate for Barnsley Central. The current MP there is Labour MP Eric Ilsley, and from what I can tell it is one of the safest Labour seats in the country. Is that right, Chris?
Yes, that's correct. The majority is over 10,000, so It's a massive challenge for us, but it's a challenge I'm looking forward to.
So what would you say is your target then for the general election?
Well, the target is to stay ahead of the Conservatives and the BNP and keep us in second place. In the European elections, Barnsley was one of the big areas for the BNP. It's one of those places where, because it's such a safe seat, no one historically has really bothered to go there and do anything. I know we only have one councillor on the local council, and it's the kind of place where if the Lib Dems worked it really hard, we could really get somewhere. We just don't have the resources to do that at the moment.
Right. Okay. Just a little bit of background. When did you first join the party, and what would you say were the reasons for you doing so?
Well, my links with the party really start from birth. Both my parents were Liberals. So my first party conference was aged 3 weeks old.
Right.
I was taken to Liberal Assembly in Dundee in 1985. So I was brought up with politics. I didn't join myself till I came to university in York at age 19, joined the campus Lib Dems, and have stayed involved ever since.
Right. Okay. And I believe you run your own business as well. I just wondered what it does and how that came about.
Yeah. I run my own online retail business. I buy and sell mostly through eBay and Amazon. I started off. I dropped out of university. I was working in a suitcase shop after that. Reached the glass ceiling, decided I'd quite like to have a go at running my own business. It had been an ambition of mine for a long time. So I did some research, took the plunge, and have carried on ever since. At the moment I'm on a break to help out with the general election, and after the election we'll see what happens. I've got choices. I can either go back, or there might be some political opportunities for me. So it's a very exciting time.
Right, okay. And you're 24 years old. How would you respond to the criticism that you're too young to be fighting a seat for Parliament?
No one's too young to fight a seat for Parliament. The things discussed by Parliament affect all people, regardless of age. There are probably issues that are best discussed by young people. Take, for instance, the Digital Economy Bill. There's been a lot of trouble with the House of Lords. The average age of the House of Lords is 69. How many members of the House of Lords actually download things and are involved in downloading and actually have experience of what they're discussing? It's vital for Parliament and all democratic institutions to have a balance of people representing all communities, so that all voices can be heard.
So why do you think it is then that the House of Commons at the moment has, I think from memory, only one MP who's actually under 30? I think it's only Chloe Smith now. Previously Jo Swinson was under 30, but I think she's just tipped over that threshold. I wonder what your views are on why that is, and whether you think that's likely to be any different after the next election.
I think we're at a stage now where there's an old guard which has been resistant to that kind of change, and this election will see change unlike any previous general election. And it's estimated that half of all MPs are going to be new. Some of those will be younger MPs, some of those will be experienced campaigners who haven't been able to get in yet. But I think we'll start to see from this general election a change in the makeup of Parliament, and hopefully a change in the way people look at Parliament, which can only be a good thing.
Right, okay. I was having a look a bit earlier on. You don't seem to have updated your blog since you got selected. Is that a deliberate decision? Have you taken a decision to not blog whilst you're a candidate, or is it just a coincidence? Are you going to be giving us a kind of campaign diary as you go?
The blog was something I set up because I thought I should do it. Everything else everyone else is doing it, and social media is one of those things that we don't know enough about yet to see what works. We haven't had it through a general election properly yet to the scale we've got now. I will try to run a campaign diary. The thing I'm finding is I don't have time. I said I've given up my business for 2 months to work for the general election. I'm actually working for Madeleine Kirk, the Liberal Democrat candidate for York Council, in a seat where we're, notionally it's a new seat with 200 votes ahead of the Tories, so I'm throwing a lot of my time into that. I'm finding I don't actually have time to write anything more than 140 characters, which is why I use my Twitter a lot more, because I can, it takes seconds to write a tweet, whereas a blog post takes a lot longer. And also I found that I'm much more able to express my thoughts in a few words rather than continuous prose. Twitter is much more suited to me than full-on blogging.
Do you find that you get more out of Twitter in terms of interaction with others as well? And I also wondered whether you know how many of your followers are from your local area.
I do find it a lot easier to interact on Twitter, mostly because people can ask short questions and give short answers. So there's a lot of forwards and backwards between people, and it does make it easier in that way. And you're not trying to go too far. You're making small points. So I find that a lot easier. I haven't really looked, to be honest, at how many people are local. I know there are a lot of people around in York that I do follow, but a lot of people are across the party and across other parties nationally as well. And I quite enjoy the mix. As I said before, Twitter is such a new thing that we're still not quite sure how it works and what effect it's going to have. So we're all learning all the time, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Do you think there's a danger? Maybe danger is the wrong word, but a risk that the way Twitter is used by, say, people like yourself and maybe people like myself is that we're talking to other political activists of all parties, but not really reaching out to people who perhaps the party should be trying to engage with more. Maybe it's a bit more like a kind of Twitter sphere, blogosphere, political arena echo chamber.
Yeah, I would agree with that to an extent. I mean, it is important to keep up with what's happening. I mean, I use Twitter as my main source of news because people break stories much quicker on Twitter than they do on the news, and I can't be watching a news channel all the time because otherwise I wouldn't do anything else. But I can dip into Twitter every now and then and pick up straight away what's happening, and talk to other people about it who are in the know, and that aspect of it is very important. But I do agree that Twitter doesn't have the reach that we need as a party. I mean, I'm followed by 500 people. That's not going to change an election. Whereas delivering leaflets to every house in the constituency, going and knocking on doors, still is the primary way of getting the message across.
Okay, just finally, Chris, I often say this to people. Would you like to just say something nice about your Labour opponent, Eric Ilsley?
Well, I mean, I'm glad to be fighting Labour rather than the Conservative, because there's a lot more positive things I can say about the Labour government. They have done some good things over the last 13 years, and I'd be much happier with a Labour government rather than a Conservative one. It's the enemy you know rather than the enemy you don't. And I look forward to taking the fight to him and trying to deliver a better deal for the people of Barnsley Central.
Okay, Chris Wiggin, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.